we're going to now dive into my top Week 16 defensive streamers, starting yet again with the Indianapolis Colts. I've talked about them time and time again. I call them the cheat code for your fantasy playoffs on a separate stream where we look at just playoff defenses, and yet they are still out there in well over half of leagues, 46% rostered, and yet in their last 6 games, 4 or more sacks in 5 of the last 6. They have 25 total sacks in their last 6 games. They have 9 interceptions and 4 fumbles forced in their last 6 games, 13 total turnovers, 11 fantasy points in 5 of their last 6 games. It's just been awesome. They have been the number 1 scoring defense since week 9, averaging nearly 17 fantasy points a game. And now they get Atlanta, yet another abysmal team. Yes, it's worse with Desmond Ridder, but even Taylor Heineke stinks himself. So top 10 matchup here for your fantasy defense, a defense that has been the number 1 team on the season so far in these last 5 weeks. You got to love the Indianapolis Colts. That's the first spot I look at, my number 4 defense overall on the week. Now, I should say, I should have prefaced this, that you got to at least first check for Buffalo. They faced the Chiefs and Cowboys in back-to-back games, and it looked like it's going to be a tough Chargers matchup coming up. So they're out there. They're only 75% rostered. I scooped them in 3 leagues last week. So a lot of leagues I was in, they were dropped at least. They might have been picked up at this point, especially after that abysmal Chargers effort on Thursday night. But just go ahead and check for them, because not only do they get Eason Stick, who just gave up 30 fantasy points to the Raiders defense, they also then get the Patriots, a top 5 matchup for defenses in their next week after that. So you could have your locked in week 16, 17. I would be shocked if any defenses outscore the Buffalo Bills across these next 2 weeks. But if you miss out on the Bills and if the Colts are not out there for you, check for the Denver Broncos, 48% rostered. I understand, yes, they just scored -2 fantasy points against the Detroit Lions here. But before that, 14, 5, 16, 8, 9, and 17 points, was top 7 in fantasy points over that span, with top 9 finishes in 5 of 7 games before getting again trounced by the Lions there. And now they get the Patriots at home, a perfect spot for a rebound to just tee off on a team giving up the 5th most points to defenses, 16, 12, 17, 4, and 7 surrendered in their last 5 games, have the Patriots 2 fantasy defenses. So I think we could definitely get a 10-plus point day here for your Denver Broncos. If you miss out on them, you can't miss out then on the Green Bay Packers as well, because they get the Carolina Panthers. Do you need me to spell how bad they are? Sure. 3rd most points allowed to defenses. They have not hit 20 points total since week 5, have been 15 points or less in 8 of their 9 games. And in that span, they've also surrendered 3 sacks in all 9 games, 4 or more sacks in 7 of those 9 games, a minimum of 7 or more fantasy points to defenses across all of those games, and 21 or more in 3 of their last 8 games as well. We've got the floor, we've got the ceiling. We are in a great spot here with your Green Bay Packers. And if you miss out, again, those guys are all around 40% rostered. I got to imagine one of those top 3, the Colts, Broncos, Packers, or of course the Bills, if they are somehow out there in your league. But if you miss out on all of them, they're not there, people have been stashing them, well, then the Commanders are still out there. I guarantee it. 15% rostered right now, and they get the Jets, who have given up the most points to defenses. It's a risky ad because their defense, the Commanders, are so bad, and in particular have been atrocious since trading away their 2 top defensive tackles. I mean, they've given up 30 or more points in all but 1 game since then. Hey, it's been really, really bad. But the Jets, especially if Zach Wilson is knocked out with this concussion, are as bad as it gets as an offense. So I think the Commanders could get after the passer there at home, and most points allowed for obvious reasons there are your New York Jets. So maybe the Commanders if you're desperate and those other 3 defenses are gone. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.